I got too much dust in my attic, addicted to the magic, the heroes in the static. Too many soldiers never lift up off the mattress, so I never lie down till I blown out a can. I got too much dust in my attic, addicted to the magic, the heroes in the static. Too many soldiers never lift up off the mattress, so I never lie down till I blown out the can. Since the gray hairs nestle in my rat's nest of clothing, filling in.
When 7-year-old Nikki Allan was essayed and murdered in October 1992, it would take almost 30 years before they would find the monster who ended her life. The man was someone the victim's family knew, but obviously not well enough. At the time of the murder, the suspect was seen as only a helpful neighbor and never suspected by family or police until 2017 when DNA from Nikki's clothing was matched to this monster. Hello, my name is Holly. Welcome to the Murder She Shed, where we discuss rarely heard true crime right from my little she shed. Hit the subscribe button so you can be invited into my she shed, usually 2 times weekly. We would love to have you. You guys know how much I love dogs. I'm fanatical about dogs or any animal. I love any animal, and I don't like to see them suffer. Well, my son's best friend and his wife, they're just a young couple. They just got married. They don't have a lot of money, just enough to get by like most of us, really. They have a dog named Chow. Here's a picture of him. He's a beautiful little guy. He's just gorgeous. But the problem is he swallowed one of his little toys. And now he needs a major surgery. They said he's going to die if they can't get him in immediately. The only problem is they don't have enough money. The surgery is going to cost $5,000. So far, they've been able to, raise almost $500. Long ways from their goal, anyway. So I'm going to put their GoFundMe account down here in my comments. If you would like to be kind and donate to their fund, that'd be great. They would love you for it. They don't want their little child to die, and they said that if he doesn't have this operation, he will die because it is, blocking everything. And he's been throwing up. He can't keep nothing down. The little guy's just miserable, and I'm hoping he'll make it. Anyway, I'll put that link down there. Let's get started, guys. In 1992, Sharon Henderson from Sutherland, England, was a 26-year-old mother of 4 children. Sharon was the mom to 4 little girls. That's a handful. One of those little girls was 7-year-old Nikki Allan. Nikki was an outgoing, friendly girl who loved to talk to anyone she met. She was a beautiful child who enjoyed carnivals, visiting different places with her school, and playing with her sisters and cousins. On October 7th of 1991, she was doing just that and having a great day playing with her sisters and one of her little cousins. That evening, her mother Sharon decided to walk over to her parents' house, and Nikki decided she'd go with her because she wanted to go see her grandfather, so they took off for a walk. They all lived in the Weregarth flat and run-down housing estate overlooking the docks in Sunderland. It was about a 150-yard walk from her home to her grandparents. Around 8:30 p.m., Nikki began to get bored and wanted to go home, but Sharon wasn't ready to leave just yet. Sharon said, "Go ahead and head home, and I will be home in a few." So Nikki started walking down the stairwell and across the short corridor to her own flat. When her mother came home 10 minutes later, Nikki was nowhere to be seen. Her sisters were in bed, but Nikki could not be found, and her sisters said they had not seen her. Sharon knew something was very wrong and immediately called the police. A search got underway within the hour involving more than 100 police and local people. Nikki's shoes were found early the next morning by her aunt, who was part of the search team. They had been neatly placed outside the derelict old exchange building 300 yards from Nikki's home. A neighbor discovered her mutilated body inside. Nikki had been battered over the head with a brick and stabbed 37 times in the chest and abdomen. Awful. A passerby later reported having heard what sounded like a child's screams coming from the old building the night before. Being still a young woman, Sharon had a very active social life. Because of this, rumors began to circulate. Sharon had not only had her daughter brutally murdered, but now she had people questioning whether she was even a good mother. People were saying Nikki had been neglected and left to walk the streets alone the night she went missing. Some suggested that on the night she disappeared, Nikki was begging outside a pub in the area. This rumor, along with others about Sharon being a good-time girl, proved groundless, but the slurs added to her already unbearable pain. In the meantime, police were conducting a thorough house-to-house inquiry, and a week after the murder brought a local man in for questioning. George Herron, then 24, lived on the same estate, having moved in only weeks earlier with his sister. At first, Herron denied knowing Nikki, but he admitted he did after witnesses came forward to say they had actually seen him with her on several occasions. There was also other evidence. The blade of a knife recovered from his lodgings, according to police, matched the stab wounds. Blood splatter were found on Herron's shoes and other clothing. His sister told police that on returning home on the night of Nikki's murder, Herron had gone straight to the bathroom, where, unlike himself, he spent a good half hour washing both himself and his clothes. Although Herron had at first denied going out that evening, 4 separate witnesses saw a man at the Boar's Head and Clarendon public house fitting his description. The man was seen buying cheese and onion crisp, which was Nikki's favorite, which police believe the killer used to lure Nikki into the building where she died. After 3 days of police questioning, Herron confessed to killing Nikki. He had previously denied it 120 times. The bulk of the evidence against him was circumstantial, but police and prosecutors maintained that several of the details in Herron's confession were corroborated by evidence gathered during the course of the investigation. Police were confident of a conviction. The trial opened in Leeds in October 1993. Community hatred towards Herron ran at a fever pitch, making it difficult to guarantee a fair trial in Sunderland. The distance was no deterrent. Scores of local people, including Nikki's entire extended family, traveled daily to fill the public gallery and often had to be restrained from leaping into the dock to attack the man. The judge in the case immediately identified a problem with the taped confessions. After 2 weeks of legal argument, he ruled that 7 of the 12 interview tapes thought by the Crown Prosecution Service to be crucial in proving the case were inadmissible because officers had used oppressive methods to obtain the confession. After a 6-week trial, the judge directed the jury to deliver a verdict of not guilty. Fighting broke out in the courtroom. Sharon passed out and several jury members were sobbing. Herron was given a change of identity and moved out of Sunderland. Soon after the trial, his solicitor's office was firebombed. While Herron was in prison on remand, he was slashed across the face by an inmate and left badly scarred. Sharon was secretly invited into the prison to meet the inmate so she could thank him. In 1994, Sharon took out a civil action against Herron, suing him for damages for battery of a child resulting in her death. Herron did not contest the case, which Sharon won. George Herron was being condemned and punished for a murder that he would still be accused of even after his trial, and wouldn't be seen as innocent until almost 30 years later when they found the real man who'd done this. But before that, another man would become a suspect in Nikki's murder. In 2014, Stephen Grieveson, a British serial killer known as the Sutherland Strangler, murdered 4 teenage boys in a series of killings committed between 1990 and 1994 in Sunderland. One of his victims was murdered in a similar way that Nikki had actually been murdered, although they were all males and she was a female. Grieveson was questioned as to his potential involvement, although detectives later stated he was to face no further current actions in relation to their ongoing inquiries into Nikki's murder. Police relaunched the investigation of Nikki's murder in 2017 due to a push from her mother. She didn't want it to become just a cold case that sat there. They were then able to match the DNA off of Nikki's clothing to a man they had questioned right after Nikki's murder. So on April 2018, they went to David Boyd's house and arrested him for her murder. And here is that arrest on tape. Also, here's an interview of him where his whole leg is just fidgeting. He can't even stay still. He's so nervous about this interview. And he's being questioned about how he went to the same window of that old building that he had taken Nikki through, and then a few days earlier he had taken a boy through that same window. So he had been known to be in that building before. And here is that interview as well, put on both together.
Hi there.
David?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you doing?
I fixed it there.
No, I'm from the police. Come have a word.
Yeah, yeah.
Cheers. David, I'm Terry. This is Marty. We're part of the team that's reinvestigating the murder of Nikki Allan.
Yeah.
Okay. Part of that investigation has led us to suspect that you may have had some involvement in that. Okay.
I have no involvement in it.
So I'm arresting you on suspicion, okay, of that offence. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention, when questioned, something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Just leave your phone there for a moment. Just put your hands out for us. Thanks.
What about me court?
Well, we'll sort that all out, don't worry. Right, now do you understand what I've said to you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Now give us a second, I'll just check these cuffs to make sure that they're locked and not too tight.
Which police station take me to?
You know and I know and everyone else in Sunderland knows that Nikki's body was found inside the old Exchange building in Hendon on the morning of the 8th of October 1992, and she'd been murdered. Scientific examination shows us that the most likely point of entry for Nikki into the old Exchange building was via a lower window at the rear of the property, which was accessed over a brick wall. This is the window that you confirmed that you entered the building via during your trip to Colin Pearson only days before. Yeah? We showed you on the photograph and you confirmed that. You confirmed, or you suggested then that you'd had to help Colin into the building. You said you had to pull yourself up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll go back to refresh, to help you. Last time you said you got in by climbing up a wall, okay? So was there a wall around the building itself at the back?
Yeah, you've got to climb up. It was a pretty high wall, like, so you've got to climb up it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you talk about, you climb up the wall and you go in through a gap in the high window at the back of the building.
Yeah.
So, firstly, the wall, how high was that wall?
The first wall?
Yes.
I'd say about, I don't know, about 5 foot or something.
About 5 foot,
yeah.
Right. Colin's 13, 14.
Yeah.
How would he get over this wall?
I lifted him up like that.
Right, so you get to that wall, right?
And I put my hands like that,
Uh-huh.
and I just lift him up.
Right, so he basically puts
puts
in your hands, him up onto the wall. Would he then hop over onto the other side?
Yeah.
Right. And then how would you get over?
I just climbed up. Like with my hands up like that, on the wall, push myself up.
Smashing.
At the time of Nikki's murder, Boyd was 25 years old and was the boyfriend of Nikki's babysitter. Boyd lived at Ware Garth on the same floor as Nikki's grandparents. David Boyd had a history of approaching and young girls. 6 years before Nikki was murdered, he approached a group of 4 children, aged between 8 and 10, took hold of a girl by the arm and asked to kiss her. He held her for a few moments and let go of her. He told the children not to tell anyone. In 1999, Boyd met a young girl in the park and was arrested. He later told a probation officer that he thinks about young girls being naked, touching their body, and having his way with them. David Boyd's trial is currently happening in the UK. Boyd has pled not guilty, but a DNA profile matching Boyd was found in 4 places on Nikki's clothing, including the hip of her shorts and under the arm of her t-shirt. Boyd has stated that she only had his DNA on her because he sometimes spits out of the balcony of his window, and Nikki must have touched it when she was leaving and wiped it on herself. Boyd knew the layout of the old exchange where Nikki's body had been found. Like I said, Boyd had went to the old exchange just a few days before Nikki's murder when he took a young boy there to look at pigeons. On his own admission to police in questioning in the aftermath of her killings, he may have been the last male to see her alive, having spotted her playing at the foot of Ware Garth Flats at 9:35 p.m. on the night of her disappearance. Nikki was led to Wasteland next to the River Ware, where she was struck on the head, causing her to bleed. The man then forced her through an opening in a boarded-up window in the old exchange building, where he beat her on the head with a brick. shattering her skull. After that, the man raised her shirt up, exposing her chest, and repeatedly stabbed through her chest, heart, and lungs 37 times to be exact. Made a big, huge hole in her chest because he stabbed the same hole over and over again. He then dragged her to the basement where she was dumped like a sack of rubbish in the corner of that dark basement floor. Boyd was nicknamed Dave the Beast back in the 1990s when he would watch young children playing in the garth. But he had an alibi and was cleared by police at that time due to DNA and Nikki's babysitter, who finally contacted Nikki's mom and said that the police should have a second look at Boyd. Boyd was put on trial for a murder just this year. David Boyd's trial ended on May 12, 2023, and he was found guilty of Nikki Allan's murder. Finally, after more than 30 years, Nikki's family is getting justice for her brutal death. Cries of "yes" and "you bastard" could be heard in the public gallery, with relatives of Nikki's hugging and shouting in jubilation as the verdict came in after 2.5 hours deliberation. Sharon, Nikki's mother, still has Nikki's Easter cup, her favorite little red and yellow dress, and some treasured family photos. Sharon has spent the intervening years not only looking for justice for her daughter, but also campaigning for other little children and their families that were murdered. I am so happy for Nikki's family that her case was finally solved. It's so amazing. I'm glad they finally got some justice. I love y'all, and I hope y'all had a great Mother's Day and have a great week. Bye. You know, I got a white shirt on. It's not going to last long with you. Speaking of Mother's Day, my kids took me out for Mother's Day, and one of my kids took me to get a pedicure, and his wife. And I walk barefooted around here all the time, so I doubt if my feet are the cleanest. I'm just a farm girl. I'm barefooted all the time. I had this little Vietnamese guy that did my nails. His name was Tom. So I was getting my toenails cleaned by Tom, and he said, "Yeah, special tool." And I was like, "Special tool? You know your nails are bad when Tom gets out the special tool." My son was laughing so hard. He said, "Mom, he had to use a special tool on you." Like, well, Hunter, I am a farm girl that always goes barefooted. Tom did a lot of work for his money yesterday. Poor Tom. Anyway, so now I went to my mom's. I went and visited her. I spent the night with her Saturday night. Apparently my mom just takes shampoo from everybody that she knows or don't know. I don't know. She could have got it from homeless man. I don't know where's my mom got this shampoo. Anyway, I was taking a shower at her house, and I grabbed this, what I thought was actually conditioner. I put it on my hair, and I got out, and I was blow drying my hair, and it just looked like, well, it looked like I hadn't had to wash my hair in probably 2 months when I got done. It's just some kind of oil that was on my hair now, and it was like, looked like I basically was homeless. So I said, "Well, Mom, I am homeless, but I don't want everybody at church to know that." They'd be like, "Oh, that poor girl, she's homeless. She don't even have a home anymore. And now she can't even wash her hair for like a month. The poor girl." I had to literally get Dawn. I was like, well, if it'll get oil out of duck's hair, that's what they say on the commercial, surely it'll get oil out of my hair. So we got Dawn, and we tried to wash it all out. And that was my weekend between oil and Tom getting his special tool out. It was a great Mother's Day. I had fun with my kids. I wonder about cracking my neck every night I sleep. When you do my neck like that all the time, because like I've been in a car wreck because you're constantly jerking it back. Like, what the heck? Wait, bye. Way bye. You're being ugly today. You're just being ugly. Tell them bye, Max. Tell them bye. All right. We got to go do something. Look at my shirt. Yeah, that lasted long. I should never wear white. Just not in my car. Just like my nails. Tom had a hard time with my nails. I can't stay clean. It's just a fact. In this dirty place I live in, I cannot stay clean. Anyway, all right. That's just me. My husband can work. He can do the same thing I'm doing. We can work like if we went to dig a ditch. I would look like a hog that wallowed in the hog pen all day. My husband won't have a spot on him. He'll be like, coming out looking like a diamond. I'm like, how the crap do you do that? That don't happen with me. I don't understand it. I'm a girl. That shouldn't be like that. But it is. It is. Okay. Bye.
I got too much dust in my attic, addicted to the magic, the heroes in the static. Too many soldiers never lift up off the mattress, so I never lie down till I've blown out a can. I got too much dust in my attic, addicted to the magic, the heroes in the static. Too many soldiers never lift up off the mattress, so I never lie down